Here's a Baal Shem Tov story. Once the Baal Shem Tov told one of his pupils to get ready that they were going to make a trip to to Germany. To Germany, what was it? Hamburg, Germany, Leipzig, Germany, whatever, Hamburg. So the pupil said, "Oh, this is wonderful. My father lives there in the city, and maybe we can. I'll meet him." The Baal Shem Tov said, "Well, we're going to stay there for Shabbat. We're going to get the Shabbat, and but I don't think you're going to have time to meet your father. Let's go." And so they got in the carriage. The Baal Shem Tov had a driver, a non-Jew, Alexei, and they drove. The Baal Shem Tov told his driver to let the reins go and let the horses go on their own. And so the reins, he let the reins go, and the driver, he just sort of went to sleep, and the horses went and went. They had a lot of time. They started off on like Thursday morning, and they traveled and they traveled and they traveled, and the horses strayed off into the middle of some forest or something. And the young man said, "I think maybe you should tell the driver to get back and hold on to the reins, because I think we're going." The Baal Shem Tov said, "It's all right." They stopped in a place. They walked. He said, the Baal Shem Tov said, "Follow me." They walked for a little while, and and they came to a brook, a brook of water. And the Baal Shem Tov took out a cup, a silver like cup for like Kiddush, and he filled up the cup, and he made a blessing on the water, and the blessing was just like awesome, the way he made the blessing. And he drank the water, and he made a blessing afterwards. And he gave the pupil also, I think, he gave him also to also do the same thing. They said, "Oh, let's go back." So they went back to the carriage, and they're traveling around. They're going, and the fellow that's with the Baal Shem, the pupil of the Baal Shem Tov said, "Listen, I know the way to Hamburg, and this is not the way. We're going some strange way. Please, maybe let me drive." Baal Shem Tov, "No, so it's okay." And so they went further, and they stopped off at and they slept in the night in the cabin in the carriage, and they started traveling the next day. They traveled the next day, and they're going. They doesn't know where they're going, and it's starting to get dark already. It started to, the sun is already setting, not setting, but the sun is, well past noon. And this boy says, "I don't know, where are we? Where are we going?" So he thinks that they're going to have to spend Shabbat in the carriage. If that's what the Baal Shem Tov wants, then that's okay. But but they said that they were going to go to Hamburg, and they were. So all of a sudden they stop. They sees a house on the side, and the boy looks. He sees that there's a mezuzah on the door. Oh, he says, "At least we're going to have a place to stay for Shabbat. We won't have to eat." And the Baal Shem Tov gets out and get outside of the carriage. As he does, a woman looks through the window of the house. He comes out and says, "Oh, the Baal Shem Tov is here. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see you. This is so wonderful. My husband will be overjoyed. Please come in." And he goes, an old man comes, looks at the door. Oh, he sees the Baal Shem Tov. He comes in, and they stay inside of the house for about a half an hour. The Baal Shem Tov tells his pupils, wait in the So we wait. About half an hour later, the Baal Shem Tov comes out. Let's say Shabbat comes in at 6 o'clock, right? So it's already like 5:30, and they don't see anything. He doesn't see anything. The Baal Shem Tov said, "Okay, let's go. Let's travel. Let's travel." He tells us this Alexei, leave the reins. Let's just go. So they go. Alexei could care less. He could care less where they're going. It makes no difference to him. He gets paid. So they're going. The pupil thinks, "What are we going? It's a half an hour. It's going to be Shabbat, and we're nowhere." So he's thinking deep inside of himself. All of a sudden, he looks. The Baal Shem Tov said, "Okay, we're here." Opens up his eyes. He says that they're in Leipzig. That they're in what did I say? Hamburg. So they're in Hamburg. It says they're going. He says, "One second, don't go down the street. You want to go to my father's house?" He says, "No." The Baal Shem Tov says, "Okay." He says, "Stop here." They stop in front of a house. All the houses are like, it's like all of them, they're joined. The fronts of all the houses are all joined together. The Baal Shem Tov comes to one house, and the pupil looks, he says, come out, take the stuff. They come to a house, there's just a door, like it looks like it's a very thick door. And the pupil looks at the doorpost. There's a little hole there, because they used to be afraid to make a mezuzah that stuck out. So they used to make a little hole and they carve out in the doorpost. They would carve it out. They would put a mezuzah there, and then they would cover it over and paint over. But they would leave a little tiny hole where you could see the shin of the. So he saw, oh, this must be a house. So here's also these bolts opening up. He said, "What? Oh, 2 Jews are here. Wonderful. His sons are really happy. Come in, quick, get in." So they go in, and it says the Baal Shem Tov said, "This is where we're going to stay Shabbat." He says, "Oh, you're going to stay for us for Shabbat. This is just wonderful." The Baal Shem Tov said, "But I want to be the Shliach Tzibur." He says, "No problem. You want to be the lead the congregation." There's the man. He has 7 sons, and these 2 they make up the minyan. Now we have a minyan for Shabbat. So the Baal Shem Tov said, "But I would like you please leave the door open." So the house owner said, we can't do that. We can't leave it. I mean, this place is very, very dangerous. And we're near the college. And the students in the college, they're big anti-Semites. Like today in the university. They're big anti-Semites, and they hate Jews. And, I happen to be the shoemaker here. So they let me stay here. But they get drunk, and they don't care about shoes. They don't care about anything. And they would like to kill us. That's why you have this big door with all the bolts on it. The Baal Shem Tov says, "Don't worry about it. Leave the door open. Nothing's going to happen." So, no. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. No. I'm sorry. I didn't say. They came in. They left the door closed. The Baal Shem Tov, the door is closed, and the man says, "You have to be careful. Don't go outside. The people here want to kill you. The students in the universities, they have knives. They have." So Baal Shem said, "Don't worry about it." So he starts the prayer. He prays the mincha prayer, prays the evening prayer. As they start praying the evening prayer, they hear from outside stones and bottles smashing against the wall, against his door. People trying to kick the door in. The Baal Shem Tov doesn't pay any attention to it. But the pupil, the Baal Shem Tov, is like really afraid. And they finished the prayers. And the Baal Shem Tov said, "Open the door." That's what it is. The man said, No, please. You heard what was going on there. That's the students I was telling you about. They're murderous people. I mean, they're just really cruel. And Baal Shem Tov said, "I'm telling you, don't worry about it. Just open up the door." He said, "Are you sure? I mean, this is I'm telling you, nothing's going to happen." Opens up the door. The Baal Shem Tov goes out. Everyone's standing there. They have they have rocks and bricks. A couple of them have knives. They have this. And the Baal Shem Tov just stands there, and one of them comes to the Baal Shem Tov. He's got a big pole, a big bar of iron, and he says to the Baal Shem Tov, "I'm going to crack your head." He raises his hand up, and all of a sudden he starts screaming and yelling, and the bar turns red hot, and he faints. He can't throw it away, and he faints. The bar comes out of his hand, faints. Everybody's afraid, and they all run away. But there's one person standing there in the corner, a professor, and he's like a professor of philosophy, whatever, and he's got a long black coat. He looks like a very austere sort of a person, a tall, thin guy. And he watches this whole thing, and he's really very amazed, about the whole business. And and the Baal Shem Tov tells the owner, "Leave the door open. Let's make the meal." So they make the meal. This tall guy comes in, and he stands in the corner. And he's standing in the corner, and he's watching. I don't remember in the story if they started throwing the stones before they prayed, and the man came in and watched the prayers in the nighttime, or was after they prayed, like I said, and he came in and watched the meal. Anyway, this tall guy, this tall professor, he comes in, and he stands in the corner, and he watches. He watches as they're eating. He listens to Baal Shem Tov is speaking. The Baal Shem Tov spoke in Yiddish, so I guess, Yiddish is similar to German. And he stood there the whole entire time, just stood and watched. the whole time. This tall fellow. And then when they finished the meal, they finished after blessing, the tall man left. In the morning, the Baal Shem Tov woke up and he said to the house owner, leave the door open. Don't worry about anything. And sure enough, this man, the tall professor, came in, stood in the corner, watched as they prayed. He had seen the miracle the night before, and he was really impressed. Watched as they were prayed, and he watched the whole, as they ate the meal after the prayers, and the third meal and everything, and then he left, and that's it. They didn't see him anymore. Motzi Shabbat, when Shabbat ended, right, the Baal Shem Tov said, okay, now we're going back. And he said to the people, see, I told you you're not going to see your father. They got in the carriage, and they went back. They traveled back. So, and going back was quick. It was the regular, normal way. It took them, 4 hours, 5 hours, and they got up. So the young man said to the Baal Shem Tov, can I ask questions? He said, yeah. So what was that brook that we went to? What was that house that we went to, the man? What was that? What was the purpose of standing? Who was that professor? So the Baal Shem Tov said, I'll tell you. So that brook where we went to, there was water there that no one had ever made a blessing on from the beginning of creation. And I went there and made the first blessing that had ever been made on that water. Because everything that God creates, he creates that it should be used by a Jew in the way it's supposed to be used. That's why we made the blessing. Who was the man? The man that I spoke to was the Mashiach. He was that's how the story goes. He was the Mashiach, and we spoke, and I asked the Mashiach, when are you going to come? When are you going to be revealed? And we talked for a while. I can't tell you what we said, but that man was the Mashiach. He said, now is not the time. He can't come now. And who was the man? I'll tell you, you'll find out later yourself. Sure enough, that pupil, he got married, and he had children. And he went out to collect money, I think, for the yeshiva, for the whatever it is. He went out, and he went to one town. This was like 10 years afterwards. And when he would go to the town, he would meet the head rabbi of that town and get permission to go around and collect money, and get also a certification that he was he was an honest person. And he went to the rabbi of the town, and who did he see? He said, I recognize you. And the man said, yes, I recognize you also. You came that night with the Baal Shem Tov. He said, yes, that's right. He said, well, I saw what happened that night, and I saw the holiness. And I had always been a big question in my mind, what really Judaism is. Why really do people hate Judaism? And I was a professor in the university. I heard all the reasons, all the logic, and I hated Jews like everybody else. But when I saw that, I realized there was something unusual going on. After I finished that whole night, I decided that I was totally wrong. I decided I would convert to Judaism. I converted, and I became a rabbi, and that's how I'm the rabbi of the place. And that's why the Baal Shem Tov made the whole journey was only in order to bring the water, also to make a blessing on the water. But the main purpose was to bring this one professor to the realization that being a Jew was good, and to activate his Jewish soul that he converted to Judaism. Strange, but true. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you all tomorrow at 8:15.